Honestly, guys, I think this season is better than the last because it is so hard to figure out. Is there just one killer? Is there two? Are there more than two? Everyone looks suspicious, and I like it. I just feel like last season it was easier to pick out a couple of people. I definitely had Piper on my radar, but Kieran was my #1 suspect, and I think he's still involved this year, so I think that that's totally valid. So, first of all, they're going through Miss Lang's tapes, and no one really knows with the show, like, why she was recording people, so I thought she might have been an undercover detective, but I guess she wasn't. But anyway, the sheriff sees one from Stava, and he hides that so that no one can find it, and we find out later that Stava has a really shady past, but that's not the only one. Emma is talking to the sheriff, and he informs her that she probably needs to stay away from Eli because he has a restraining order against him. He broke into some girl's bedroom in Atlanta. He's just a shady guy. And this really gets to her, and she doesn't want to deal with him anymore. So she goes to Kieran, and she's like, you know, I don't want to be around him anymore. And he's like, great, you know, because he's dangerous and all this stuff, and he makes him look bad. And some things that he mentioned are pretty interesting here. He was like, did Eli tell you about the accident? Did he tell you everything about the car accident? So Kieran's step-parents were killed in a car accident, and Eli did not tell her everything. But Kieran said, you know, I was actually in the car, and I feel bad about it. And honestly, I think that he was the one who killed his step-parents, okay? I think that he is a killer and has been a killer for a really long time. And this could go a couple of ways. Either Eli and him are working together, or the way I think it's going is that Eli is being honest with the things he's told Emma about Kieran, and he's really trying to warn her that this guy is bad news and she should stay away from him. So, once again, we are that picture is brought up with Emma and a guy, an older guy whose face is scratched out, who I think all of us assume is Troy James, and the sheriff is concerned about this, and I think that he thinks that Troy is the killer, and I know some of you think that. Now, that could be possible. I definitely think Troy James plays a role in this season, but I don't know how they are going to play it out. So he could be our killer, absolutely. He could be our killer and he's working with someone who we know, who is his relative or something that we don't know yet. Or he's playing another role and he'll be used in later seasons. So thumbs up if you think one of those is true. Thumbs up if you think Troy is involved in some way. And I'm just curious to see what you think about Troy. Like, what is his involvement in this season? How is that going to be played out? Alright, so when the sheriff is talking to his son, when he was playing that tape, it says something about keeping the bodies. Now, we don't really know what that means, but we do know from the conversation Stava had with his dad that something really bad went down in Phoenix. At least one person died. They had to leave because of whatever the incident was. I'm not really sure what that is, if we will ever find out exactly. Of course, Stava looks super mega guilty and suspicious in this episode, and so does Eli. So right now I'm just going to say that both of these people are red herrings, but we will have to see. So because of all this tension between Kieran and Eli, they end up getting into a fight. Now, most of the episode takes place at the carnival, the town carnival, and so Kieran actually punches Eli, and Eli's like telling Emma, okay, look, this guy is dangerous, I've told you and here's your proof, but Emma doesn't see it at all. And you know, I think they're starting to suspect that Eli could be the killer, and I really don't think that Eli is. So there's like this pageant going on at the same time, and Brooke tells Zoe she really wants her to win, so she helps her out with her makeup and her dress and everything. And Zoe brings alcohol, and Brooke starts drinking it. Now, I know a lot of you think that Zoe forced Brooke to get drunk, but she knew it was alcohol, and she was the one who kept drinking it. So I don't really blame Zoe for that. I mean, maybe that was kind of her plan, and it worked out in her favor, but I don't feel like she tricked her or forced her or anything. But because of that, because of her getting drunk, Brooke goes up on stage and tells everyone that the town is cursed and everyone's going to die, and it's just not a safe place to live, and she's been through a lot because of Jake's death, which, you know, I think we all understood that. So something that I can't get out of my head about Sava, which I don't know what to think of this, but as his dad was going through his room and going through his stuff, he finds his drawings, and one of the drawings is of Branson being tied up. Now, the only person who should know about that is Brooke, well, the only people, Brooke and the person who tortured him, aka ended up contributing to his death. So the other scenario we have here is that this was being recorded. So I don't know if maybe Stavo is not killing people, but he's seeing the recordings somehow, or if he was the person who tortured Branson. I know someone in our live chat had the idea that he was the one who actually tortured Branson because he felt like he was hurting Brooke, but he didn't want to kill him, and he hasn't killed anyone else. So that's just a big, big, big thing to happen in this episode, and I want to know what you guys think about that. Let me know down below. Okay, so our very big moment of this episode happened in the funhouse. So Emma gets a text from Kieran saying to meet him at the funhouse. But we also realize that someone is filming Emma going into the funhouse because they send that video to Audrey. Now you have to think about who we have that's busy, that can't be in the funhouse. So we have Noah and Zoe and Audrey and Brooke all together in one building. So they're not doing anything in the funhouse. So we have someone filming Emma, and we have Kieran inside of the funhouse. Of course, Kieran wants you to believe that it wasn't him that was actually texting her, because then she gets like a video of Kieran with duct tape around his face, and she's really scared, and she's going through the funhouse looking for him. So in the funhouse, we see the killer roaming around. Then a police officer ends up following her because they are keeping close tabs on her. And the killer attacks the police officer. I think that he killed him. But then backup comes in. So like all these police officers rush in. And Emma makes it out. But then the killer makes it out, and I was just wondering how this was going to go down. I was interested to see who it was. When they pull off his mask, it's Kieran with the duct tape. And he also has a weapon in one hand. Now, I think this pretty much confirms he has to be one of our killers, but maybe not. I'm interested to see what you think about that. But I feel like what happened was he had this plan, and he didn't think that all these other officers were going to come in, so he just tried to act like someone dressed him in the killer outfit, and he ran out, and that's kind of what happened because he was actually killing people. He killed the police officer in that killer outfit. I was honestly surprised that the police didn't think he was the killer. Like, no one seemed to think that. I don't know. Or they didn't think that Emma was involved in some way. So that was really weird for me. But I just feel like that's a huge clue. I don't know. I just want to know what you think, because that was just like the biggest moment in this episode. And to me, that solidifies that Kieran is one of our killers, but I still think there's more than one. I honestly think he's been the killer since season 1. He was my suspect. I think there were 2 killers. They just didn't reveal the other one. So we learned from the previews for next week that Miss Lang is actually alive. I don't know how injured she is. She may be like in a vegetable state, but she's alive. And supposedly she was in an orphanage with Piper, so there's some kind of connection there. A lot of you guys thought there was a connection, and you kind of forgot about it, I guess, after we thought she was dead. But I don't think she's the killer, but I'm interested to find out, were they friends or what was the deal with all of that? So yeah, like, this show is so good. I'm hoping one day I can talk to you and be like, I know, I'm pretty sure it's these 2 people or whatever, but it's really hard. But for now, I'm pretty sure it's Kieran. A lot of you have asked, have I forgotten about Noah? No, I mean, there's still so much pointing to him. In this episode, he definitely didn't look guilty, but I haven't forgotten about him. I haven't taken him off my suspect list, so we'll have to see how all of this happens. Please leave your theories down below. Let me know if you think Kieran is a killer or if you don't, and why, and I will see you next week. Have a great rest of your week. Bye, guys.